While the war on Onigashima rages on, an alliance is about to be formed between ex-Drake and Apu. But not that Apu. It's 2021, and I wouldn't want Twitter to have a shit fit.
Thank you for coming. I'll see you in hell.
Powerful Nerdcast assemble! Stay dandy, baby. Big things are going down in One Piece chapter 1030. Alliances are being formed, Kinemon has somehow survived being stabbed by Kaido, Kanjuro unleashes his final deadly art piece, and it looks like Law and Kid are about to awaken their Devil Fruit powers. So yes, this is an important chapter that you don't want to miss. Let's talk about all of the amazing highlights. I'd also like to ask all of you, if you're not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing it so you can see all of my videos. If you are subscribed and you're liking my video, go ahead, smash the like button right now. Helps out these videos a lot. I would appreciate it. You could also check out my Patreon page where you can make a monthly donation, which would go a long way in supporting this channel financially. And of course, I would love to add your name to all of these amazing people. You see them on screen right now. They're helping out my channel. They are pretty freaking awesome. You want to be awesome too? Go ahead, join the Patreon. First up is the cover story of this chapter, and I love a good, wacky, ridiculous cover story which doesn't really seem to have any meaning behind it. It just manages to be fun, and that's exactly what this one's all about. This one features Straw Hat Pirate Brook as he is walking over a group of ants, and these are not your everyday ordinary ants. These ants are going to war, marching in a line, and I just want to know a little bit more about this. Why are they at war? What's going on? Is this a reference to A Bug's Life, or is it ants?
The only good bug is a dead bug.
It's also highly appropriate that Brook was on the cover story this week. I mean, he is a big spooky skeleton, and of course, it is Halloween week. But the spooky, scary monsters don't end there. We actually go to this really pivotal scene where both ex-Drake and Scratchman Apu are discussing an alliance. Apparently, Apu has left the Beast Pirates officially, and he doesn't necessarily want to join the current alliance with the Samurai, the Minks, and the Straw Hat Pirates, but he also doesn't want to die either. Imagine that. He wants to team up with ex-Drake so that basically they can plunder and take everything they can and make their escape. But while this entire conversation is going on, we actually get a look at the numbers 1, 2, and 3 who are hanging out directly behind them, and they are pretty damn terrifying looking. A lot of the times throughout this entire arc, whenever we see the numbers, they either make their full appearance or they're covered in shadow. Here, they're full to see, they're giant, they're scary, and frankly, I wouldn't want to mess with these guys. They're like something out of Where the Wild Things Are. And for Drake and Apu to talk about this stuff so openly out in air with them directly behind them, that takes balls, my friends. Let's get to the part of the chapter that honestly kind of bugs me a little bit. We get to learn that Kinemon apparently survived being stabbed by Kaido. And the reason behind this is because when he was stabbed in the torso, it actually separated his top and bottom halves. Now, the reason that this actually works is because when we were first introduced to Kinemon way back during Punk Hazard, this was the moment where Law decided to separate his two halves, and when he put him back together, apparently he didn't do it 100%. Now, I'm not one to use this term all that much, but even I have to admit, this is kind of an ass pull. Personally, I thought Kinemon being defeated by Kaido and having his big final moments was a really great big send-off for that character. A character death which honestly affected me. Now I have to admit it is a little cheapened, and now it's being spruced up with a lot of ridiculous comedy with the fact that he's running around again as just a pair of legs. Luckily, Usopp and Nami are there, and Usopp manages to tackle him down and quite literally catches his ass. Usopp starts talking to him as if he's going to talk back. Like, I mean, if he could talk back, I guess it would be with his ass. Does anybody remember that show, Assy McGee?
We need to get into the database, Charlie.
Yeah, I think it'd be something kind of like that. Nami is, however, able to communicate with him by using the crescent moon shape by drawing it on his leg, which basically allows him to realize who he's actually dealing with at this moment. But while we get to see his bottom half, we immediately cut over to his top half, where we get to see all of the destruction that was caused. We get to see that Kiku is still just struggling, so beat up, so destroyed. I do not know what's going to happen to that character. But then we have Kinemon, who realizes that yes, apparently Law screwed up in attaching his top and bottom halves, but he still looking really rough. And then that's when we get one of the most shocking scenes of the chapter, where Orochi finally appears again and he's communicating with Kanjuro, ordering him to bring about the final act of the Korazumi clan, which is to say that with Kanjuro's last breath, he's going to draw a massive fiery demon, which has the ability to pass through walls and cause all manners of destruction. And it's a pretty striking looking image. It kind of reminds me of like the giant smiley slime from Punk Hazard. Lots of Punk Hazard references in this chapter, am I right? It also makes me reflect on, yeah, they have been building up a lot of this since that time, and boy, that was a long fucking time ago. But as if Luffy and his friends didn't have enough to deal with already, now they have to deal with a giant fire demon that can pass through walls. Again, kind of appropriate that we get a weird, ethereal, ghostly-like being on the week of Halloween. We also got a lot of sprinkles on the cupcake that is this chapter that makes it a little more digestible, like the fact that CP0 is no longer just sitting around, they're finally making their move, going after Nico Robin. We even get one page which actually goes back to the big three battles: Sanji versus Queen, Zoro versus King, and Luffy versus Kaido, and basically it's just more of the same, and it's just making me want so much more. They just give you a taste though. However, even with alliances, fire demons, and Kinemon's ass running around, the biggest thing about this chapter, and I think the thing that most people are going to be hyped about, is the battle with Big Mom. Law and Kid are officially bringing their A-game to this battle, and that's because they have awakened devil fruits. Now, awakened devil fruits are kind of a weird thing. When Doflamingo was using it for the first time, the implication was that you were able to use your devil fruit and sort of imbue it in the world around you, like how he was able to transform everything around him into string, but clearly there are some different rules to how all of this stuff works. But we do get to see that they are able to use abilities that we've never seen before, and honestly, they're pretty freaking awesome. This chapter has one of the biggest moments of the entire franchise, as when Law actually decides to utilize his awakened devil fruit, he utilizes a brand new technique which is known as Kroom. He's able to sort of coat his sword in all of his energy, and he's able to attack Big Mom from the inside, as well as being able to stab her from behind. You quite literally see his sword coming out from her chin, and for the first time in the series, Big Mom is hurt. She's bleeding. She has smoke and blood coming out of her mouth. She's absolutely livid and still ready to go on the attack. Kid comes in and uses his brand new awakened devil fruit ability, the Assign, where he essentially can turn someone into a giant magnet, and the chapter ends with all of these steel beams and metal just flying towards Big Mom and just absolutely crashing on top of her, causing tremendous amounts of damage. It also just happens to be a really cool looking page, incredibly destructive. I am very excited to see that Law and Kid might actually be the ones to take down Big Mom. It is a little strange that, of course, awakened devil fruits are sort of coming out of nowhere, and some readers might even see that as more of an ass pull than the whole thing going on with Kinemon and his bottom and top halves. But the fact of the matter is, it was just inevitable that this was going to happen, and if anything, apparently using these awakened devil fruits is something that is going to severely weaken them. They haven't exactly mastered it quite yet, but this is a big moment. Big Mom receiving damage. I mean, she's practically indestructible, and it makes perfect sense. It's the old trope. If they're too tough on the outside, attack them from the inside. So what's the rundown on the latest chapter of One Piece? This one had so much going for it, and I absolutely loved it. As for Drake and Scratchman Apu forming an alliance, I think it's an interesting concept, but I don't know how far it's actually going to go. I would like to see Scratchman maybe give up his whole idea of wanting to just take everything they can and leave, and actually do something to help out everyone. As for the most part, of the Supernovas, I feel he's one of the more one-note type of characters. Drake is a little more interesting, if only for the fact that he is a Marine who is undercover. That and the fact that, of course, he transforms into a freaking Allosaurus. But also the prospect of the numbers being around them here is pretty exciting, as of course they've been building them up to be incredibly destructive and powerful, and they look really cool in terms of their overall design, so I really like that stuff. Again, I have to be perfectly honest though, with the whole Kinemon thing surviving, it kind of bugs me a little bit. I mean, it's not destroying my enjoyment of this chapter, but it's just so ridiculous that this entire time, apparently this could happen to him with like no consequences. And it was just a perfect coincidence that Kaido was able to separate him by doing that. I don't know. To me, it's just a little ridiculous, and it wouldn't be the first time in the One Piece series that a character death was effectively retconned and someone was brought back from the dead. That being said, I have to admit, it did add a little bit of levity to the chapter of watching Kinemon's legs run around during all of this crazy shit that's actually going on. I do have a theory as to what's going to go on with Kandro's massive fire-type demon, and this is also going to be tied to Orochi a little bit too. I have a feeling they're basically going to be setting up 2 more major conflicts. The fact that Kandro created what is effectively a fire demon leads me to believe that Kinemon is probably going to be the one to finish it off, and that's just perfect poetic justice to defeat the creation of the guy who basically screwed over his entire alliance. It's the perfect way to get back at him by defeating him and giving them that big glory moment. And then of course we have Yamato. I didn't mention her that much in this review, but essentially she's running around and again trying to disable those weapons. And who else is trying to use those weapons? None other than Orochi himself. So I have a feeling that we're going to have a really big classic battle between Yamato and Orochi. And the reason why I think that this is really cool is because it actually reminds me of the video game Okami. Now look, I'm not like an expert on Japanese lore or mythology, but I did play the video game Okami, and I know that a lot of that game takes its inspiration from classic Japanese mythology. And one of the main conflicts in that game is where you play as a character by the name of Amaterasu, who is essentially a wolf god. Yamato herself has a devil fruit power which allows her to transform into a wolf, and she's trying to destroy all these weapons that Orochi is trying to utilize as well, and his name is Orochi. He's a giant multi-headed dragon. In that game, Amaterasu the wolf god battles against Orochi, a multi-headed dragon. This is no coincidence, this is happening for a reason, and it makes perfect sense within an arc which takes a lot of inspiration from Japanese lore. I just think that's pretty freaking awesome. And then of course there's Law and Kid fighting against Big Mom. There are some amazing spectacle moments here which I absolutely love. Law has always had one of the most, dare I say, superpowered and broken devil fruits. It doesn't really seem to have a tremendous amount of weaknesses, and it makes perfect sense that a character like him would be able to take down Big Mom, a character who, like I said, very tough on the outside, maybe kind of soft on the inside. But I did not expect with it his sword was actually going to plow directly through her neck, and that she was going to continue kicking after all of that. And of course, Kid. I really loved that giant final moment of summoning all of those steel beams and metal just crashing into her. It looked so incredibly destructive. And yet, even with that, even with the stabbing from behind, attacking internally, and having all of that steel just plow directly into her, I still have a feeling that she's going to come back even more pissed off than ever. They may have to receive some help to deliver the coup de grace. I don't know if she's going to be defeated at all. All I know is it felt really satisfying to finally see some significant damage hit Big Mom. Otherwise, I thought this chapter was pretty fan-freaking-tastic. I loved it. It had so many great moments. I love getting to see the numbers at the beginning, their crazy, wacky designs. I love the cover story with Brook and the ants, the possibility of an alliance, the fact that Kinemon's story is not over. In fact, it might even be getting started yet again. Yamato getting ready to possibly throw down with Orochi, and Law and Kid using their awakened devil fruits and utilizing them in a way that we've never seen before, and significantly damaging a character who is seen as practically unstoppable. This chapter pretty much had it all. The battle at Onigashima is absolutely insane, and it's continuing to be incredibly entertaining. While I am excited to get back to Sanji and Queen, Zoro and King, Luffy and Kaido, everything else that they're giving us, I still think is really solid material. It looks really good, it's action-packed, it's super tense, and there's even some funny moments. It's everything that you could possibly want from a One Piece chapter. I'm giving this one a 5 out of 5. But you heard my thoughts about the chapter. I want to hear yours. Sound off in the comment section below, and let's have a big discussion about all of the details of this chapter, what you liked, what you didn't like, your theories, your hopes and dreams for the future of the battle at Onigashima. Thank you guys so much for watching this review. I will see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.